Welcome to the Kingsford Flivver Flash. I'm Coach Van Dusen. This is Season 20, Episode 32, 2020 Season Finale. Welcome back to the Kingsford Flivver Flash. We are recording this on November 11th, 2020. So happy Veterans Day to all of the veterans who are watching and or listening. And if you'd like to go back a few episodes in the Kingsford Flivver Flash, we've had some veterans on the show. So in Season 20, Episode 14, we had Mike Floriano talking about youth football. Mike was a military policeman in the Michigan Army National Guard. Season 20, Episode 16, we had Eric Johnson. That was a part 2 of talking about youth football. And Eric served in the United States Air Force. Season 20, Episode 17 was a Flivver flashback, and we had Evan Phillips, who is in the Army right now as a Black Hawk mechanic. And Season 20, Episode 18 was a Flivver flashback with Jack Zimmerman, who is currently in the United States Marine Corps. So to Jack, yesterday, happy birthday, Marines. So we're going to move on and talk a little bit about the season and how it went. You've probably already heard that the Flivvers lost their game on Saturday to Reed City. So we're going to go over kind of a season finale here. So first we're going to start off with just talking about the season overall. So talking about the varsity Flivvers, they won their first 2 games. The first one they headed up to Calumet. That was the first time they played since the 80s. And it was a very tough football game. And they ended up coming well with a victory, 17-16. Then we had some teams cancel on us, and we almost got another game from down in Wisconsin, but at the last second, Norway, just 12 miles up the road, said they would come play us. So hats off to Norway. We give you a lot of credit for coming to Flivver Field and playing the Flivvers. We were able to beat them 42-0. Then Marquette came to town, and this was a very close football game and just a defensive battle. But Marquette got the better of the Flivvers at home with a 10-0 win. It was 7-0 very, very late into the fourth quarter until Marquette was able to kick a field goal and kind of seal the deal. So then Gladstone came to town, and if you listen to that one on the radio, it was a barn burner. There was a lot of action in just the last couple minutes, but the Flivvers were able to come away with a 30-28 win. The following week is supposed to be Menomonee week, which is always a hot and heavy game here at Kingsford, GNC rival. But unfortunately, Menomonee had to forfeit that one. We had to forfeit that one due to COVID protocols. So we took a couple weeks off, and then we were able to host a playoff game against Ogama Heights down south of Grayling. And Ogama Heights came to town in a great football game. It was on a Saturday. The weather was gorgeous. It was just a perfect day for high school football. And the Flivvers came away with a 13-6 victory, propelling them to round 2 of the playoffs, where they headed to Reed City. And Reed City was that was a great trip for our varsity Flivvers. They were able to go down the day before. They were able to practice on Central Michigan University's field. They stayed in a hotel down there. Big thanks to our superintendent, Mr. Allen, and our athletic director, Mr. Hartman, for setting all that up. Took a lot of planning, but the kids were able to go down there and have a really great experience. And the Reed City game was really, really close. I believe it was 14-16 at the half. And there was a fumble in the fourth quarter that kind of changed the tide for the Flivvers. And Reed City was able to come up with a win, 32-14. So going to the junior varsity and the freshmen, both of them only had 3 games each. So the JVs had Calumet at home, and it was a close football game. Like, the JVs like to make it close through about half, but then they would step it up. So they were able to beat Calumet 24-0. They traveled up to Marquette and played in an absolute monsoon, and was able to come away with a victory 35-7. And then they went to Gladstone and came away with a 36-7 win. So congratulations to the junior varsity team and their undefeated season. Even if it's only 3 games, it's still undefeated. So the freshmen, they had an interesting turn of events in their schedule, in that teams, they were supposed to play folded or join with their JVs, or they couldn't play. So they ended up playing Marquette twice in a row. So they played Marquette the first time in Marquette, a beautiful night for football, and they were down at one point, I believe it was 16-0, and they were able to come back, 20-0, and they were able to come back and win that one 22-20. What a great way to start off their football career. 2 weeks later, the Marquette Redmen came to Kingsford, and the freshmen dropped that one 12-0. It looked a lot like the varsity game the night after, when it was very close right up till the end. Marquette punched in a touchdown with just a few minutes remaining and kind of putting it out of reach. In the last game the freshmen had, they traveled to Bark River Harris and took on their JV team. So bigger kids who've been playing together for a year already, but they really put on a battle and they learned how to be football players that night. And the first series, Bark River really got the best of them, but then the Flivvers buckled down and played some really good football. And at one time they were ahead 13-12, and Bark River was able to score in the fourth quarter to seal that deal and win the ball game. But great job by all three levels of the Flivvers. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the playoffs. So before we do, this is just a great picture that was snapped of the Flivvers. They stopped at the bridge on their way down to Reed City. You have the Mackinac Bridge in the background. If you're listening, I highly encourage you to go down in the show notes and find this episode on YouTube. You can also find this picture on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. It's just a great experience for those young men, a great group of young men, be able to take a trip downstate and represent Kingsford and the Upper Peninsula down in the Lower Peninsula. So congratulations to the Flivvers, especially the seniors who made their last trip on a football team. So congratulations to them. Now let's talk playoffs. So here we go, Division III. Marquette is still in it. They beat Mount Pleasant 21-14 last week. So they will be taking on Muskegon this week. So best of luck to the Redmen as they continue on through the playoffs. Looking at Division IV, we have Sault Ste. Marie is still in this thing. They beat Ludington 22-16 last week, and now they'll take on Cadillac, who has not played a game in the playoffs yet. They had a first-round bye, and then the second round, Alma had to cancel. So Sault Ste. Marie is taking on Cadillac. Best of luck to the Blue Devils as they represent the UP. Now in Division V, you can see here that the Kingsford Flivvers lost to Reed City 32-14. But we're still going to keep track of this one. So Reed City will play Kingsley. I believe Kingsley has to travel to Reed City this time. So there's a couple of great programs, and we wish them best of luck in Division V. Looking at Division VI, should be some good football on the 13th, I believe. Calumet will play Negaunee. So Calumet traveled to Menomonee, who had a first-round bye in the playoffs, and ended up beating them down in Menomonee 29-14. And I believe Calumet got the best of Menomonee last year, only in Calumet. So best of luck to the Copper Kings as they head on. You can see Negaunee took on Ishpeming after Ishpeming had a first-round bye as the number 2 seed, and Negaunee was able to beat up on Westwood 42-14. So they will be taking on Calumet. So that should be some good football. And the winner of that game will either play Grayling or Boyne City. So I don't know much about either one of those teams now, but just looking at the scores, Grayling beat Manistee 49-14, and Boyne City beat Maple City Glen Lake by 28-29. So my guess is it would be Grayling, but it's high school football. Anything can happen. Going to Division VII, we have some good football again. Iron Mountain won this week against Gwynn 56-8 in only their second game all year. So well done, Model Towners. In your second game, you put a pounding on Gwynn. The week before, Gwynn eked out a close one against East Jordan to make it to the second round. So well done to you as well, Model Towners. This past week, Bark River Harris took on West Erin County and won 22-6. So Bark River Harris will travel to Iron Mountain to take on the Mountaineers. I believe that game is this Friday. So best of luck to both of those ball clubs in Division 8. So looking at 8-man Division 1, we still have Pickford in it. We'll travel to Indian River, Indian Lakes, and they will play the winner of Sustenance Bay or Gaylord St. Mary. So best of luck to Pickford as they head off to round 3 of the playoffs. And in Division 2, there's a couple good games happening. Powers North Central is able to beat Lakeland and Hubble 52-14. to 8, and Rapid River dropped a close one to Cedarville. Cedarville came out on top 28-20. So now Cedarville will head to Powers North Central, the number 1 playing the number 2 seed in round 3. So the winner of that will play either Marion or Hale. So best of luck to both of those teams as they continue on their playoffs. And that will do it for the playoff look. And that will do it for season 20 of the Kingsford Flivver Flash. We're going to shut it down through winter like we did last year, and we will start this back up in January. So I highly encourage, go catch up on some of the previous episodes. We started with YouTube this year, so you can watch them. You can always go on your phone, on your podcasting app, and listen to past episodes. I think we're about 70 episodes in right now of the Kingsford Flivver Flash. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There's a blog out there that we're not great at updating, but maybe we'll get a little better. And until next time, this is Coach Van Duzen. Win in the classroom, win on the field,